Hello and welcome to Reese's Reviews, a My Geek Culture podcast. I'm Matt, and joining me on this podcast today is Reece, the person who has been named after this podcast. So Reese's Reviews came first, and then we decided to change his name by default. So his name is now Reese's Reviews.
Yes, it's we've gone to the birth, death, marriages, and now my official title is not Reece Casual. It's Reece Reviews. That's my title.
Yes.
Now.
So Reece is a cinephile, and
Absolutely.
he loves his films, of all types and everything else. So it's we're just going to talk a bit of everything about the pop culture world of movies and recaps random bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So the basis of this podcast, originally it was meant to be I dive into Reece's Letterboxd account, CashelSkyGuy, and I quiz him on his reviews. So it'll usually be a new movie followed by a classic movie that's more than 5 years ago. Yeah, but now we're just mixing it up for whatever, because this one, Reece, you actually decided to put a theme towards it.
Yeah, so I was kind of like having a bit of thoughts. Like, we did a great episode last week, and where we just delved a bit more deeply into the July releases, and it's got me thinking during the week where I found a few films that are coming up where I've seen some interviews and seen some anniversaries coming up, and it kind of piqued my interest just to talk a bit about them.
Yep.
Because in some of these big tentpole films that were released back in the day were huge leap forwards for the genre that they are in and what they did for the genre that they were involved with, and just how they tentpole it. But people can relate to those films in a lot of big ways, but at the same time what those films were able to provide to the world of cinema. They've been copied and they've been adapted in their certain ways, but other films have now taken from that. Bit of a mixed part of my words. So I thought I was to take the first part of this episode and just kind of go through and enjoy some of the anniversaries we've done in 2025, and kind of go through some milestones, anniversaries, some films. We can kind of chit chat about what we thoughts about the films, how they impacted the world of cinema back in the day when they were released, and how impressions of those films are taking on today. Like, they might have a different stigma from when they're released from today, and those kind of things. So I thought we'd just go for a list of anniversaries and just spitball about it and just see how we think about them and go from there. And then, of course, I always do have new releases done on my Letterboxd, so we can finish off with some reviews. And I have a question for you towards the end I want to get your opinions on and things like that. So I thought mix things up. Recent reviews could be about my Letterboxd, but can be all range of things, just all things entertainment and fun and movies and TV shows and things like that. So that's what my thoughts are. And if you're game, like I said last week, I'm game if you are.
Sweet, so am I. Let's bring it on.
I thought we go into anniversaries. So I thought we go from the biggest anniversary, which is the longest anniversary, and bring it forward to more present as we go through it. So I picked through the anniversaries that we've done, and I picked up 5 films that we can go through.
All right, interesting.
Okay, all right. So the first one, which probably is one of the biggest ones, is celebrating 50 years this year.
50.
It was released on the 20th of June, 1975. Now, this film was directed by the GOAT, greatest of all time directors, in my humble opinion, Steven Spielberg.
Senor Spielbergo.
Spielberg. It is Jaws, celebrating 50 years. So I remember watching this film as a kid, and then I didn't really revisit it much over the years, and then I only recently rewatched it again and had a new appreciation of it as well. So going to Universal Studios and doing all those theme parks, you go to that stigma of that ride when you go to the Jaws side of things. So it's a bit of fun. So rewatching this film, and just that movie still stands up. I think, yes, you had the technology and the animatronics of the time, but even you take the shark out of it, that movie still holds up with the suspense and the horror aspect, and just that thrilling. And you cannot speak of Jaws or the collaboration of Steven Spielberg without John Williams. So that score is incredible and so creepy. I cannot imagine. Just like people said when they went and saw Exorcist that a lot of people slept with Bibles underneath their beds. A lot of people were afraid to go into the ocean after watching Jaws, and so I have a lot of like. I think it's a film you could watch every few years and you can get enjoyment out of it. I can't watch it every year. It's not one of those films that has a massive nostalgia effect on me, but I still find that the pop culture and the filmography of that film has such a place in history that we be talking about this film in 50 years time and celebrating its 100th anniversary and it still have that much of an appreciation. So I think that film is stands time and it gives us one of the greatest lines of all time. We're gonna need a bigger bowl.
Oh, okay. I thought it would have been shark.
That too. That could have been done that too. So that's like I just found that the cinematography of that film and how he shot the fact that because they spent some money on the animatronic shark that they couldn't use it for a lot of the beginning of production of that film. They can use it towards the end of it. How Steven was just able to entice the fear and the suspense and the thrills just using the camera work of inside the water and copied by John Williams, not James, but John Williams' amazing score just put that way more in the horror aspect of it. So I found that film absolutely mind-boggling for its time, but it still lives up for today. So throw it over to you. What's your thoughts when you think of, for one thing, what's your impressions of Jaws when you first saw it, and what do you think about it today? And what do you think about it celebrating 50 years?
Yeah, it kind of made me scared not to go into the water. I'm not a big beach person either, so I blame Jaws for that. I still remember as a child watching it briefly on TV. It was at a family friend's house. I just remember watching it on this old Catho Ray TV up the top in the spare bedroom and just seeing this leg float from the top of the screen down to the bottom. And I'm going, So, it caused me a bit of a nightmare as a child.
Yep.
But, yeah, great performances by Roy Schneider. And, and yeah, it's an iconic piece of film. And,
absolutely.
Yeah, it really put Steven Spielberg on the map.
I think he was already on the map a bit.
Of course,
before then.
We had his movie Jewel, but Jaws was the most his landmark, like as in this is the big one.
Yeah, that kind of put him on to another whole other caliber. So once he made Jaws, it was like, okay, now people were actually going to really pay attention to what he was doing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But so I've been to the one in LA where at the Universal Studios. That whole tour. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. That's similar.
Yeah. So, but overall, the place, the movie itself, they did pretty well for a paper mache shark scaring the crap out of people for a long time, and it spawned off all the Jaws 2, Jaws 3D when they were experimenting, Jaws the Revenge with Michael Caine.
He only took it for the paycheck.
Yeah, sharks come and go, Alan. So that's the most iconic line from that movie.
Cool. So what's your appreciation of the fact that now it's celebrating 50 years? Can you believe that it's been 50 years, or can you kind of believe that?
I can't believe it's been 50 years and it still holds up today. And it's like any of the other type of movies where you reflect back on it. So for any movie from the 70s or whatever, where it's just been so iconic and you just go, this set the premise, like it's set the bar of horror genre, natural, using natural animals and so forth. And then you got your Jurassic Parks and stuff where it's everything CGI. It's like, nope, Jaws didn't do that. So he was all animatronic. So, with that, just iconic. It is always going to be the top 100 films that you
Oh
have to
yeah, one of
see.
those things you have we once in your lifetime kind of films. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, so I thought that that was actually a big tadpole. Like they start off this kind of segment was fantastic. Jaws is definitely someone to really kind of look back on and kind of really much appreciate what that film has done for the cinema genre as a cinema way of things of life and things like that. Moving on from there is a film that I recently watched. I put it on my Letterboxd. I recently watched it this week because of this anniversary coming up, and it is one of my all-time favorites. It is Back to the Future, celebrating 40 years. It
Wow.
was released on 15th of August,
Oh,
1985,
this is heavy.
and yeah, so amazing, amazing film presented again by the GOAT, Steven Spielberg, directed by Robert Zemeckis, starring the legend of Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox, having the killer.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Hey,
just
yep,
showing up on the screen. I got a little pop vinyl of
of
Marty
Marty.
McFly. Yep.
Beautiful. Yeah, so having the killer soundtrack with tracks from Huey Lewis and the News and the amazing score by Alan Silverstreet and Matthews also showing also the DeLorean.
Yep.
I need to start getting my collectibles in relation to that. I need to get some famous
Yeah.
cars. 'Cause I'd like to get the
I
DeLorean.
got a die cast of if you can hear it. So this is
Yeah,
of
that's cool, man.
Back to the Future 2 because it's got Mr. Fusion in the back.
You got to come back.
Yeah.
I need fuel.
So it's from number 2.
Nice. Yeah, so Back to the Future, the number one, part one, as they say, was released 40 years ago. So
And
I have such a love for this film. After rewatching it, it still holds up for me. I still get the same feels every single time I see
there's
it.
so many
The
layers.
fun, the excitement. Absolutely, so many layers, and there are so many different things you can get out of it. You can get the fun, you can get the awe, you can get the heart, the
And you can
emotion,
get
and it
Jaws in
just shows.
it. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's
That's in
2.
two.
Yeah.
That's in part
2,
two.
yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that you got all that into it just shows you great of the screenwriter, the script and everything like that was just dump. It just showed everyone was on their game when they made this film, and it was such a fantastic achievement in cinema, and it is still referenced to this day. Everyone keeps saying to reboot it. I totally like leave it alone. This movie is a tadpole in cinema history. Leave it at that. Leave it what it is. It was fantastic. Like you've got a scene where you start off the film where Marty's this kind of like a rebellious kind of a kid, and then by the time you get to the end, he's just you completely. It's the definition of a character arc. The way he starts at the beginning of the film, the way he ends the film is completely in a different point of view, but he still has that youth to
Well, what they
him.
could do,
And you've got all this,
not reboot, but they could release the Eric Stoltz cut.
uh, like the whole of like what
Yeah,
I think he was on set for like what 2 or 3
yeah,
weeks
like
before
that. Didn't they film like
movie?
80% of the film with him, and then they got rid of him, and
Something. I can't remember how much
yeah,
they actually filmed of it, but they filmed a little bit of it before they realized. But yeah, but I just I think about that film and it just makes me feel so much happiness. It just makes me smile. Like just watching a scene where where he go have that one little scene in the parking lot where you just got Doc saying, when this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit. And just go from there and just how it just keeps you engaged. And the characters are just so well thought out. And the fact that you just go through it. And then you've even got Michael J. Fox just owning the role. Like he was born into it. And then you get him on stage playing and singing Johnny Be Good. Like I still listen to that song today and still just love hearing it. Even that song, 1958 is when Johnny Be Good was released by Chuck Berry, which was a fun little Easter egg that they chucked in there on that scene where they got the guy pulling up the what's it called, the telephone. You know, your Marvin Berry. You know that new sound you've been looking for, but listen to this, and they kind of say that that's how Chuck Berry got his inspiration for the song. So it's so well. Yes, you can have to put on the disbelief when it comes to the time travel and how time works and the time space continuum works, but for what it was and when and the time that it was made, it's so much fun. Like you can watch this film every year, and you can never get tired of it. And just how that opening scene where he blasts the stereo and then realizes he's late for school, and Huey Lewis's power of love kicks in, and just that just sets up the tone for the film perfectly, and just never lets up. So the screenplay, the performances, the direction.
Well, the fact that Huey Lewis, who was heavily involved in the soundtrack for the movie, and that while as soon as you say Back to the Future and Huey Lewis, what's the first song that you think of?
Well, everyone kind of thinks of Power of Love. I actually also think of Back in Time.
Back in Time, yeah, exactly. So that's meant to be the song because that is the theme for Back to the Future, but everyone goes straight to Power of Love.
But I think that's a bit more of a poppy hit.
Well, yeah, that's the commercial release. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I just found that was beautiful, and the fact that they actually give Huey Lewis a cameo, and he have Michael J. Fox play a instrumental version of his old Power of Love on stage, and he gets up and says, "You're just too damn loud." It was just perfect.
He was in his school band, the Pinheads, yes. But,
it's fantastic.
And I actually, by pure accident, I was watching a behind the scenes snippet of Back to the Future, and it had Huey Lewis having a chat to Michael J. Fox during that moment, right? So behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And Michael's just shredding his guitar, playing the Power of Love. And you just do it right in front of the guy who's, written the song. And like Michael's just like fully shredding, he's owning the guitar. So it's like, whoa, that's pretty damn good. So, yeah.
Yeah. So give me your thoughts. Like, I know you grew up on it a lot more than I did.
I grew up on this trilogy.
What's your thoughts on Back to the Future?
Back to the Future is just one hell of a film or trilogy. I absolutely love it. Hence the reason why I got the figurines and everything like that.
Yeah, man.
I briefly met Christopher Lloyd as well in 2011 when he came out to Supernova. And
jealous.
It was only just ever so briefly, and
he's still better than nothing.
And but he was out there promoting. Like he knew that everyone was there for Back to the Future, so that was really really cool. But Michael J. Fox owned that role, so it was like that. I was glad that they did switch it from Eric Stoltz to Michael J. Fox, even though he was also filming Family Ties at the time. So a lot of the night screen filmings, like night scenes and stuff, are done like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So he'll be just going back and forth. So he basically worked 24 hours. So he was doing that. Family Ties was hitting its peak. And so he managed to do it all. Christopher Lloyd, great great actor doing Doc Brown. I can't see anyone else doing that role. And Leah Thompson, beautifully cast, and was only is only a few, not that much older than actual Michael J. Fox himself.
Well, as I was saying, speaking of that behind the scenes kind of thing, I would recommend anybody who is a fan of that film watched the documentary called Back in Time. I found it very educational and it just definitely gives you an insight of how that film was made and the struggles they had with the production and the casting, and how they had to go from Eric Stoltz and then recast him for Michael, and the struggles Michael had to go through with filmed Family Ties, and the contractual obligations he had to the studio and things like that. So if anyone is listening and who is interested a bit more behind the scenes about how that film was made, I highly recommend watching that documentary Back in Time. I found it very much a fantastic watch.
Biff, Biff Tannen, that is Thomas Wilson.
How funny he
is great. One of the most kindest guys in Hollywood. In fact, I follow his YouTube diary, and he's just absolutely phenomenal. And he rides upon the coattails of Back to the Future. Like he knows that's where he got his start from, and he's always humbled from it. But
you seen his that song he plays at
Yes, he
conventions?
does. Yes. Stop asking.
Man,
Yeah.
that is
Stop
funny.
asking me the
Thanks
question.
for asking me the
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. But no, but when he
Gosh, that's
gets a
funny.
chance to, he goes on those conventions as well,
Yeah.
with the guys, so he knows he's all part of it. In fact, if you look at his YouTube account, you actually see behind the scenes stuff where it's him, Michael J. Fox, Leah Thompson, and Christopher Lloyd together at those conventions. So
Yeah. It is very
yeah,
heartfelt, very
and
much so.
Crispin Glover, yeah, he's good playing the creepy George McFly, just
Mm.
a nerdy.
Yeah, I think that's the one character I didn't really gravitate towards watching it, even all these years later. But I understand the dynamic of the character needed for the story they were telling. It's just, yeah, when it comes to all the characters and how they are all perceived and portrayed, I think George McFly is one of the characters where I didn't really have too much of an emotional connection with, but understood what it was required. So, but that's just in my humble opinion.
Yeah,
So.
and the storyline's fantastic. A lot of things interwoven and little Easter eggs, and there's always like little throwbacks, the tiniest little thing. And yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
because
Well,
yeah, so yeah, a firm favorite.
absolutely. Absolutely. Keeping on the train of the 40-year mark, we're going to step on to the third one on my list, which one was released on the 12th of December, 1985. It stars a very, very young Sean Astin and the incredible Ke Huy Quan, and it is The Goonies.
Ah,
Goonies is celebrating 40
hey
years.
guys.
Goonies never say
Yeah,
die. Now, everyone has been asking for a sequel to this film for years. They're saying it's going to happen, it's not going to happen, but I have this film is just nostalgia in my childhood wrapped up into a film. Like every time I watch this film, it just takes me right back when I was a young kid watching this for the first time, just filling me full of adventure and fun, and just wanting to go and find that treasure, go find Willie's ship, and just find that fly into that world, which is so
it was.
rich and so original in that aspect, and it shows us to a very, very young also Josh Brolin.
Yes.
So just going through all that points, the screenwriting, the script again. I've said it for Back to the Future. The script was very well made. He had a bunch of young actors who were very brilliantly directed, and just it was a film made for its time, and it still stands the test of time even to today. Yes, you can see the differences in the generation of filmmaking when it comes to the film made in the 1980s to compared to today, but you can still I say you can still put this on for young kids of today, and they'll still get so much fun out of it. It can span so many different generations. It's such a great
Of
film.
course, the whole style of it too is if you could imagine when you're a child and you do your make believe play sessions, like say you're out in the backyard playing with a neighbor kid or you're in a park or anything like that. This would be if you were do the make believe fantasy Indiana Jones for children. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think we've got a common theme here because we've done these anniversaries, we've done two films, and again, this film is presented to us by the goat of Steven Spielberg. So without, I think unknowingly, I've gone through these anniversaries, and three of them are given to us by Steven Spielberg.
I think you might be a Spielberg fan. Not sure.
Just maybe a little
Yeah.
bit. But again, another director and I'm actually a fan of was actually also credited for the story, which is Chris
Ah,
Columbus.
yes. And
So he is also on the bill, or what should I say, the reason behind the film is Steven Spielberg and Chris Columbus. Now, anyone out there who doesn't know Chris Columbus and is thinking American history, different Chris Columbus. Chris Columbus is the one who gave us the first two Harry Potter films. He also gave us the first Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. So he's very much into those worlds of being able to work with a younger cast and giving
Home
the
Alone.
young
Don't forget
adventure.
Home Alone.
Yes, I was going to get to there. So very much a young demographic audience, and well, not audience, but cast, and being able to bring out that innocence of fun, which leads me to say yes. He also gave us Home Alone 1 and 2. So just you think of Chris Columbus, and you see Home Alone 1 and 2, Goonies, Harry Potter 1 and 2, Percy Jackson. He's got a genre and a demographic that he kind of goes towards, which is just what you need. I'm in the minority. I'm not in the, unfortunately not in the majority, but I'm in the minority. I actually enjoy his film Pixels with Adam Sandler. A lot of people hated it, and a lot of people panned that film. I found that film was a bit of fun. Yes, it has some issues, but I think Chris Columbus did a fantastic job with that. So, but back on track with the Goonies. Fantastic film. They did a great job. Richard Donner, the director, did an amazing job of just capturing the innocence of youth and the essence of adventure and wanting to just go outside your picket fence and just explore and have some fun and find adventure, which is definitely being replicated in a lot of productions going on these days. Because I recently watched the Star Wars series Skeleton Crew, and it definitely had that old emblem feel of Goonies and ET kind of feel, very much a young aspirations for adventure and space and all that kind of stuff. So the impact that Goonies has made on pop culture and in the cinema industry is definitely has been impacted a lot, and have been replicated.
It makes
So
you want to explore
I
underneath your house.
yes. And I just like, it's a simple little thing, like it's something so innocent, like a little point of these friends are just nice innocent kids of friendship. Like you have they go up into the attic trying to find things, and you got this Sean Astin going, oh, gives it to his friend, and he counts down because he knows his friend is clumsy. He drops things. He just counts it down, 1, 2, and he drops it. And it is so much fun, and I couldn't rave about this film. And like I have, it's been quite a while since I've seen it, so I think I watch this film every couple of years just to remind me of my youth and just reignite that little innocence of nostalgia and your inner child, which I think everyone should have an inner child, because if you lose that, then you kind of you get sort of hardened in a way, in my opinion. So having that inner child in you is always good to bring out, and having films like this definitely helps with that as well. So I'll leave it up to you. Again, what is your thoughts of the film? Can you believe that it's been 40
Yeah,
years?
it's been a
And
firm favorite.
yeah,
I owned it on VHS at one stage.
you're showing your age now, mate. You're showing your age.
That's true. No, I absolutely loved it. I already, as you know, reflect as you were talking, the same thoughts and feelings for it. And yeah, again, hey, you guys. Sorry, that's my really shitty impression. And you know what I got for dessert? A truffle. So I'm going to do a truffle shuffle later on. Yeah. So yeah, it's a really good movie. A perfect sense of adventure. It's like a time capsule of the perfect 80s adventure movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's pretty much the Goonies. Going on to my next one, coming into more modern day. This is a 20-year anniversary. So these last two films were released 20 years ago. So this first film was released 16th of June 2005. It spawned some people say one of the greatest trilogies. That's been in, not just in the genre that it was, but it also has been, just like the Goonies, post this film coming out, has been replicated, and themes of this film has been replicated through a lot of films that came after it. I am talking about a film directed with screenplay co-written by Christopher Nolan, and that is Batman Begins. The first film in the Dark Knight trilogy, also screenwriter and script by David S. Goyer, and like I said, directed by Christopher Nolan. Christian Bale takes up the cowl of Batman Bruce Wayne, and bringing in Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul, Michael Caine as Alfred, Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes, and Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon. So I just find Batman Begins is just. I recently watched it. I just find with Batman Begins, it's just a film that definitely stands the test of time, just like the other ones on our list. So just being able to see the impact that this film has done. Like you can see so many aspects of Batman Begins and the tone of the film and how it's written and how things were made for that superhero genre was replicated for a lot of films post Batman Begins. And so just going through that was just absolute. Just rewatching this film, like the fact that you've got a film that worked where the film is called Batman Begins and Batman doesn't turn up until about an hour and 10 minutes into the film. Like the first hour is literally Bruce Wayne, how going through the treks of becoming what he needed to become to don the cowl and things like that. And
Oh, it's fantastic
absolutely,
storytelling.
absolutely, and just going through that just shows you exactly how if you get a good script and how it can just be so well constructed and the cinematography is just made and the fact that how they used Chicago to provide a fresh take on Gotham and the underbelly and all this other stuff just worked all so well. And the dynamics between you got such high caliber actors performing in one film. You got Christian Bale, Liam Neeson, Gary Oldman, the now Oscar award winning Cillian Murphy, where playing the Scarecrow and Dr. Crane. You got the late great Tom Wilkinson and all these amazing actors coming towards for this what they say is a comic book film. But if you take the comic book aspect out of it, you still have a great drama of a film. Like you have some comic book aspects to it towards the third act, but you take those kind of points out of it, you still have a great film, which a lot of people who weren't really into comic book genre films can why that's how they got into such a fan and love for the trilogy because they that a lot of people who weren't much into comic book movies were able to identify and actually enjoy it because it targeted a different demographic, which helped it and definitely worked up. Yes, they went a bit more comic booky in a way with the other two, but Batman Begins set the tone so perfectly that by the time you got to Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, you're already into the world and you're already acceptant of the world that Nolan shaped, and just being able to go through it and also have some fun and just go through with it. So I just remember watching this film recently and just going, yep, it still holds up to this day. It's fantastic writing, fantastic direction, fantastic performances. Everything is perfectly cast. And I completely forgot. You can't talk about this film without thinking of Morgan Freeman. Just plays Fox perfectly and just providing what he needs to within the dynamics of Bruce Wayne and Christian Bale is just absolutely fantastic. So love this film. I still have I think I have a more appreciation for the Dark Knight, a bit more above Batman Begins, but I still think these two are so on. I think Batman Begins is a little bit higher, but Batman Begins is still a brilliant, brilliant film. So going on to you, Maddie, what do you think? What's your thought? What's your first thought when you think of Batman Begins, and have you rewatched it recently? And what do you think about it celebrating its 20-year anniversary?
Well, I still remember seeing it at the cinema. I saw it uh, at the local cheap cinema, Generic Street Cinema. That's
Yeah,
how
which is
I,
still available
yeah,
and open and for business for anyone who's watching or listening.
yeah. So, yeah, that's where I remember seeing it. And 2005 was a particular interesting time in my life then because I was also on the path of a new
Mm-hmm.
career and doing studying and everything else. And I just remember watching Batman Begins and I had to do a review for
Oh,
it
really?
as part of my studies. So I was like, oh, this is great. So, yeah, Christian Bale, fantastic as Bruce Wayne slash Batman. Michael Caine as Alfred, just nailed the
Yeah.
part. And Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox. And, yeah, just fantastic. And, yeah, just the casting was just amazing. The direction of it. And it gave the dark essence without trying to take the dark essence thunder out of the original Tim Burton one
Yeah.
because that was pretty dark, but it was Christopher Nolan's darkness. So, and It was just absolutely
It
delicious.
was,
So
which
Liam Neeson,
unfortunately was
yeah,
a good thing, but it also was a bad thing because when they try to adapt that tone for the rest of the kind of the DCU, they kind of over flooded it with a lot of their other post films past the Dark Knight because they thought because the Dark Knight trilogy did so well, when they try to replicate it for a lot of sort of DC films, you're realizing that they were only targeting a certain demographic, and that didn't relate. That
yeah,
couldn't relate because you couldn't really take young kids to extent to the Dark Knight kind of films because the undertones and the what's the word I'm looking for, the not the tones in a way, but the subject matter of what they're involved within those films because they are in some instances crime dramas and things like that throughout those films. So which you can't really take young kids to. So that kind of takes away some of your demographic audience that you're going to be targeting. In which so when you get into the other future DCU films, which adapts that tone, you're minusing a lot of your targeting, which is why the Marvel films were did so well because they balanced that tones and that relation to lightheartedness, but also a little bit of a dark undertone as well to be able to appeal to both senses of the audience. So I found that was a bit over abused moving forward, which is why the DCEU failed after quite a while, and now they've had to pretty much restructure and create a brand new universe out of the new DCU. So
yeah.
that's my kind of opinion on that. Is there anything else you kind of want to add and point on to
No,
Batman Begins?
I think you pretty much uh, crossed the T's and dotted the I's
Yep.
there.
Well, the last one on the agenda is a bit of a selfish one on my own. I'm going to be again some of our I would say now our audience for this amazing podcast is not going to agree with me because I find some people would be in two minds. Would they saying that I'm one of the people who would change their minds who didn't when this film was released they think that I hated it and then I've only jumped on the bandwagon when they've had a bit of a resurgence or those kind of things are where I'm changing my tune, which couldn't be further from the truth. When this film was first released, I was one of the people who actually quite enjoyed it. This film was also released in 2005 on the 19th of May. It is a film in one of the biggest franchises ever to hit the cinema. It is directed by George Lucas, written by George Lucas, and that is nothing else, not other than Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. It's celebrated its 20th year anniversary. They actually had, even in Australia, they had anniversary screenings for Revenge of the Sith the week before May the 4th, which I kind of was a bit of bummed because I was unavailable that weekend. And then the weekend of the May the 4th, which I always keep free to watch Star Wars because some cinemas do re releases. And because of the anniversary, they put the weekend on its anniversary, and they didn't have any screenings of Revenge of the Sith on Star Wars weekend, which I was kind of bummed about. But I would have loved to have seen Revenge of the Sith on the big screen again because I actually went again, just like you said. I actually saw Revenge of the Sith for the first time at Demerrick Street. So I remember seeing it on the Demerrick Street cinema. So yes, so like I said, I'm in the minority. I actually rather enjoy this film. I find it's entertaining from start to finish. It is high entertaining sci-fi fantasy enjoyment, and it has some dark undertones and things like that. I understand everyone's thoughts about Anakin Skywalker and how quickly he turns to the dark side and all that kind of stuff, which at the time I can understand certain points, but when you rationalize it, the time jump between episode 2 to episode 3, you're coming to the original Sith kind of comes in towards the end of the Clone Wars. So he's Anakin Skywalker has kind of been fighting for the entire of the Clone Wars, and he's a massive Jedi Knight. He's a warrior. So he's done so much heroic stuff throughout the Clone Wars. So the time to get to a point where he's kind of he believes that he's done so much for the Jedi Council and the Republic and everything. And the fact that the one thing he wants to do is become a Jedi Master and everything and get that title and be what he kind of deserves. The fact that they say, no, you're not ready. We don't grant you that. You kind of understand that. So, and with George Lucas, with the help of Dave Filoni going back and doing the Clone Wars series, you kind of get all that backstory about what he went through those years of the Clone Wars, and then going back and rewatching Revenge of the Sith, you understand where his mental state is. By the time he gets to that scene in the Jedi Council where you're learning a bit more about him not getting the rank and everything like that, you're kind of going, well, I can understand why he's a bit annoyed and pissed, because he's done so much over the years and they're not giving his kind of reward in a way because he's done already so much and all the things he went through with Ahsoka and everything. So I actually found it as quite enjoyable. Yes, I always find there are some plot holes and the script isn't fantastic. George Lucas isn't known for his amazing scripts when it comes to the dialogue and things like that. But I still find this film so much enjoyed. The fight choreography and the lightsaber battles are some of the best you will see in the saga. That fight scene on Mustafar between Anakin and Obi-Wan, I still get so much emotional drive within that scene, because you've got these two best friends fighting to the death, which is so heartbreaking. And then again, John Williams' amazing score. That score, Battle of the Heroes, is so beautifully and so hauntingly. I adore that score. Like, besides Battle of the Heroes, Duel of the Fates, the Empire March, the Princess Appears theme, which is and then you've got the Sunset, the Binary Sunset score is just beautiful. So John Williams is a character in this film with the score, and just I could talk, like I said, everyone who's listening to this podcast, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I could very much talk about on this podcast for over an hour more so on Star Wars, but I'm not going to bore anybody else. But Star Wars Episode 3, 20 years anniversary. I personally thoroughly enjoyed this film. I wouldn't say it's 5 out of 5 for me, but it's still a film I thoroughly enjoy, and I rewatch it. I go through my Star Wars fetish every year, so it's something I always revisit. I am a Hayden Christensen apologist. I think Anakin Skywalker is brilliant. Ian McGregor, brilliant.
Well, his popularity for the respect for the character now has,
which is kind of ironic
from,
because I appreciated him back in 2005 when this movie was released. Is now he's getting his appreciated when all these people were coming back and coming back after the sequel trilogy and everything, and recognizing how amazing he is. And goes, well, I knew that back in 2005 when he was playing the role to begin with, and it's all come back. Which I am very appreciated that he's getting the recognition now, and so I am also getting a lot of love now that the fact that Ahmed Best is getting the love that he deserves as well, because none of these people in the prequels, they only did the performances and said the dialogue that they were directed to give, so you can't blame them.
Yeah. Well, I'd say as well too, because when you got other stuff that's happened with Star Wars and the fact that the universe is extended, the cinematic universe has been extended, and then they end up, bringing back characters or performers for the thing, and it just shows, yes, look, we're not just in it for the money. We're in it. We appreciate the fact that we are playing these characters, and so when Hayden Christensen came back for Anakin, and also Darth Vader, especially in the TV series Obi-Wan, and then was it called Obi-Wan or was it called Kenobi?
Pretty sure it's called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, yeah, anyway. So it's just like, hey, I'm still part of it. And then now it's like, oh, he came back. And then, so it's just people have been late bloomers for it. And it's good that, he's been given the credit he was severely overdue for, that he's finally
Do you have
deserved.
Any thoughts on the film, but more importantly, what is your appreciation or thoughts on the saga? Do you enjoy?
You want me to tell you? No. No, it was great. I still remember seeing it at the cinema. Again, Jamaica Street, and it was just like the way that they kind of wrapped it up towards the end with the Revenge of the Sith with George Lucas's patented swipes to kind of speed things up, and it's like, well, they had to wrap it up because they were running out of time, but also it is that's just the way that the story goes. But they did great, and yeah, it holds true as a classic. Now that people are watching, I'll put it this way: the ones where they've done 7, 8, and 9,
Mm-hmm.
and then people have been bagging
Have mixed
8 and
reviews,
9
yes.
out. Yeah, mixed reviews,
Putting it
yes.
mildly and politically correct.
So therefore, it's taken the spotlight off 1, 2, and
Mm-hmm.
3, and now they're like iconic. So it's just, they're not as bad as what
And
we
that's
all
what I
thought
was
they
saying
would
at the
be.
beginning.
So
Like everyone was saying, I had a different appreciation for the sequels, for the prequels. So everyone's say they're coming back saying, "Oh no, we love them," but they're changing their tune now because so much time has passed. But like I
yeah,
was there
and
when it first
people have
released. A lot
matured.
of people walked out of Phantom Menace burning their robes and things like that because they hated it that much. I
Well,
apologies
now
for that.
that I'd say that once they make 10, 11, and
Mm.
12, right, people will appreciate 7, 8, and 9 a
Will
little bit
they?
better.
Will they? Mm.
I reckon they will
I
because
think I
time will
love
have
seven.
passed.
I think seven is great. Eight,
Yeah,
there's certain parts of it I thought were good, but overall I didn't like it, and I refuse to talk about nine.
fair enough.
So, but I think it's
Each to their
but
own.
I'm in the minority again. I thoroughly enjoy Phantom Menace. I don't like Attack of the Clones except for the last quarter of it
Well,
where you got the big battle scene.
nine was kind of altered in a way because like they wanted to obviously take it or how I see it is they wanted to take it in a different
Yeah.
direction. Well, they had in one other direction, but because of the death of Carrie Fisher, that's like
Well,
okay, we're going to make the
I
movie
also
around her extended and deleted
yeah,
scenes.
that point as well. But I also find that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, which is what they did with the other two, like the original trilogy and the prequels, is that they didn't start off with a thought out, straight through plan for all the movies. They didn't actually have a thought out plan. They only went one movie at a time. They're going, okay, we're going to do this one thing at a time. They didn't actually have a thorough, straight through storyline plan for the entire trilogy. And that's what caused their issues, in my opinion, because you need to know where you start. You need to know where you're going. If you
Yeah.
don't know where you're going, then you can't get there from what you're going to be bringing to the audience. So the fact that they did that, they made the first one. They made the groundwork for it, which was brilliantly done. But then they've got someone coming in, which is pretty much rewriting all the different stuff that they set up and changed everything. And then you had someone to come in the last one to do damage control. That's not showing a thought out plan. So I could definitely go in for hours about Star Wars, but going back to
But then again, if it wasn't for Revenge of the Sith, you wouldn't be there.
yeah, maybe in a way.
I'm trying to bring it
Segue,
back to two,
segue
yeah,
back. Yeah, appreciate
to
that. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. So, but I yeah thoroughly enjoyed. I'm in the minority. I enjoy Revenge of the Sith, so that is on my shoulders. I can take it. I don't care. You're always going to have those films where you're gonna be in the minority where you love a film, everybody else hates it, and they don't understand why you like it. But so I have these
Yeah.
discussions with some other people in my close circle where they don't understand how I like Revenge of the Sith, but I like it. A lot of people don't understand
Yep.
why I like the film Armageddon, all the plot holes and all the bad dialogue. I don't care. I love that film. That's action, adrenaline, and heart full of emotion. So you have one of them.
How about we squeeze in one review
That's
from
where
you?
I was going to lead. Thank you for the tee up. So my last review for today is I recently sat down and watched The Old Guard 2.
Oh yes, with
Charlize
Charlize
Theron.
Theron.
So I recently watched the first one and still loved it. Thought it was fresh, open world building, fantastic film, great cast, great action, grounded, fantastic. Loved the first one. Went into the second one hoping to get expansion of the world, great new characters when it comes to the villains and returning cast members and having a great time. I was let down. Old Guard
Oh
2, not good. Very, very
wow!
fell short of the mark.
I
The
haven't seen it yet, and that's heartbreaking to
Yeah,
know.
very much different. They try to change, pretty much open up the world a bit more, which they did in certain aspects with the additions to Henry Golding's character, with the history of the Immortals and the introduction of Uma Thurman's character, which wasn't too bad. But the editing, some of the larger set piece of action was really badly choreographed and done with bad CGI. Some of the close action set pieces were done really well with the action, but they were pretty good, and the cast did what they can with the script, but overall it was unfortunately badly executed. The editing and the pacing was a bit off at points as well. The
Did it feel like that it was a forced sequel?
In some
Because
aspects, yeah. But they had some time to do it, which is kind of surprising. But they had the same screenwriter return, who also is the author of the graphic novels, come back to do the screenplay, which I thought that was going to have a bit of a drive towards it. But at the same time, you can have a great screenplay, but if it doesn't get executed properly, then you lose it, and then it kind of loses its thing. But you have a new director, so you got a new director coming on board with Gina Prince Bythewood, and she just fails, unfortunately, to provide the suspense and the drama and the action that the first one provided. The Everything was just mixed dynamics, like that. It was just very much. I felt like I was watching and going, I'm getting. There's a lot of things happening that took me out of the story, which unfortunately I just didn't grab towards. Like I watched it with my wife, and her and I were both in the same opinions, but we got halfway through and we just weren't grabbing to it. There's a lot of things that are coming out of it. So unfortunately, the Old Guard 2 gets a thumbs down for myself. I gave it a review on Letterboxd, which I gave it 2 stars. So it's under the mark of the benchmark of 3. So that is my kind of review on that. So if everyone has the curiosity for the characters and the developments, you want to give it an intriguing go, I would say give it a go. But if you really, really enjoyed the first one and the groundness and the brutality and the structure of that, then unfortunately, I would say you might get disappointed with the sequel. And I've got a thought here if I should do a bit of a. It's not much of a spoiler, but the ending has it open to be continued, but the way this film, it doesn't close off the story as a chapter. It leaves it open that it needs to be have another chapter and have another film to complete the story that's set up in this film. And the way this film is presented and the way I think it's been received, I don't see Netflix greenlighting a third one, but I might be wrong. But that's just my
if they greenlight a third one, they can probably call it Grumpy Old Guards.
Probably, yeah, maybe. But yeah, that's just my kind of opinion on that. So unfortunately, I know you haven't seen it yet, Matt, and you might be looking forward to it. But maybe you have a good thing about entertainment. It hits us all in different ways. Maybe you would have a different opinion about it than me. So you could you might see different things in it that I didn't, and you might like it a bit more than what I did. So don't discourage that. So as I say to anybody, entertainment hits us all in different ways. Make your own opinion, but that's just my humble opinion on the Old Guard 2.
Oh, anything at all to kind of to cleanse the palate after me watching Madam Web before we recorded this episode?
It is better than Madam Web. There's a lot of things out there where I go, that's bad, but I always say it's not as bad as Madam Web. It's not as bad as Kraven the Hunter. It's like I think my trinity at the moment is of bad films is Madam Web, Kraven the Hunter, Expendables 4. I go, it's not as bad as one of those 3. It's like as long as you get better than them, then you're doing something good.
Yeah, fair enough. Understandable.
So that's pretty much my kind of wrap up on that. But before I want to wrap up this podcast, and I know we tapped on this a bit before in the last episode, I wanted to know, you've got a brand new series of Dexter coming up this week that's starting. Do you have any pre-thoughts about that series before we close things up?
Yeah, instead of rehashing what I said last episode in regards to where Dexter Resurrection is going to lead, my prediction is that while you have Angel Batista, who is catches up with Dexter after he's recovered, I could tell you all the plot points and everything that joins onto Original Sin and Dexter New Blood and the original Dexter. Yeah. But it's very detailed. But Dexter does run off to New York, or according to the trailer, he runs off to New York and gets recruited or invited by some rich bastard who likes to gather serial killers, kind of like a cult in a way, like Scientology. And they just but big name stars like Uma Thurman, Peter Dinklage, Eric Stone Street, like they're all gathering together. So it's like this serial killers of serial killers. and it's like a gathering. And I'd say like when we see bits and pieces of Angel having a chat to Dexter's son Harrison, I got a gut feeling that while Dexter's run to New York, I think he's probably going to be an insider for the police, maybe, or maybe for Angel. Okay. So Angel's probably like, with Angel knowing Dexter since he was in his late teens, young adult type thing, and so he's giving him the ultimate respect because he knows about his history and shit like that. I'd say that maybe Dexter's going to work as an informant for the thing, because like Angel would probably unravel the details and going, wow, Dexter actually, he could probably see the pattern of Dexter killing all these bad people. So it's like, hold on, he's actually killing for good. And so I'd say that would be the connection. Okay. Anyway, that's just my theory.
Okay. Well, it's good. Like, I'm just intrigued. Like, this is a series that's been going on since the early 2000s. So it's been going on for quite a while. Like, you've got the original series. You've including this one, you've got 3 series in the main kind of timeline with Michael C. Hall playing Dexter, plus 1 prequel series. So it's created a universe and a franchise out of this one story. So it must have appealing to some sort of a demographic of audience. So in which you are going to be one of them. So it's like I said, it's going to be releasing on Paramount Plus, and it's going to have a weekly release. So now you got your expectations in before it comes out. Should revisit it when it's finished up its run, and I want to get your overall thoughts about how you thought about it and how you found it, how it compared to New Blood and the original series, and how it all fits in within the canon of Dex. I'm really looking forward to seeing what your thoughts about it is, if it lives up to it, or if it's not, it's another stinker like New Blood. Because I was talking to a few people where a lot of people did not like New Blood.
Oh no, I liked New Blood because the way. Cool. The one that I didn't like was the actual ending of the original Dexter.
A lot of people was a stinker,
and that pissed me off a lot, and that pissed off a lot of fans. And so they were blaming, I won't name the name, but they were blaming a particular showrunner for that show, because once that person started coming into that show, then the quality of the show started going down.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So, but the way that they, Dexter, wrapped up, totally opposite to the books as well. So the books came out before each season came out. So, and the books went a different direction. Well, the books were first, and then the TV show went a different direction, I should say. Written by Jeff Lindsay, the creator. And so with that, that's why, just finishing up on the disappointment. And then when Dexter New Blood was announced, it's like, oh, finally, it looks like they're going to fix up the ending. And then when the way that Dexter New Blood ended, it's like, actually, I am satisfied with the way that ended, because you knew that Dexter couldn't go on forever. Yeah. But now they've obviously worked something out. So
resurrection.
Resurrection. So obviously, because the New Blood was a hit, and they've gone, okay, we can milk this further. So
okay, well,
but I'm on board for it.
Cool. Well, I'm so looking forward to seeing what your appreciation for it is. What amazing at the first thing that you hold on to the franchise and the series as long as it has, and you're still keen
I've got the books and I've got the DVDs still.
That's awesome. So you're keen for new stories to be told, which I'm intrigued to quiz you a bit later on. That's pretty much everything that I've got in store for this episode today. Like I said, I'm going to be watching a bit more stuff. So if anyone wants to keep following me on my Letterboxd, I'm constantly updating that. And I'll leave it to the legend. How about you sign us off, mate?
Thank you very much, Reece. Again, thanks for another episode of Reece's Reviews for mygeekculture.com.au. This is being produced by myself, Matt Fulton, mattfulton.com.au. This has been a My Geek Culture podcast. Thank you again, Reece, and thank you for listening. We'll catch you next episode. Bye.
No worries. May the force be with you.